All right, you guys. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. It is Ali of Where's Ali, you guys. I am your eccentric nomad, and today I am going to give you 12 shocking things that you may not know as a Westerner when you start traveling, okay? But before we do that, if you are new to my channel and haven't subscribed, I'd love it if you click that subscribe button, that notification bell, like this video as well, and share it with a friend if you don't mind, you guys. That helps my channel to grow. All right, so I'm going to give you guys a quote for today, and it is discomfort discomfort in challenging oneself can be your best friend. So embrace discomfort. Sometimes it's the only way that we learn and that we grow. All right. Okay, so let's get to it. 12 things that I think may shock you when you start traveling. And there's no particular order, but here they are. Number one, toilets. Toilets around the world. You cannot flush toilet paper in toilets in a lot of different places around the world. There isn't one particular country or city. This is something you're going to find in a lot of places. So, no flushing. Sometimes you may have to pay to use the toilet. That's something that I experienced in Bali and other places like Egypt. You pay for like using a public restroom, and then you'd also pay the attendant outside for sitting outside so you can use the restroom. In some places, you have to bring your own toilet paper, or you pay for like a little. They give you a little hand, like a little three-piece roll. So always walk around with toilet paper. All right, that's number one. Number two, a lot of places don't have what we are used to seeing in department stores. So, like that whole department store concept is usually not a major thing. It's something that you see in a lot of places. I think a lot of places are starting to get bigger stores that have everything in them, like one-stop shops, but it is not a normal thing. Like pharmacies will have stuff like contact solution, and different, just maybe Tylenol and antiseptic things like that, antihistamine, um, a bug spray, stuff like that you may not find in the store that you're going to get your groceries from. They do have more of those, like the Walmart style, the Kohl's style stores, but a lot of things you're going to find a la carte, like lingerie, I already mentioned pharmacies, nail polish for women and stuff like that. Like if you're looking for certain types of things, you might have to go to individual stores for it. Okay. Same with housewares. Okay. Just be in the know. Number three, clothing. Covering your shoulders and your knees. This really applies to women, but sometimes it can apply to guys if you're wearing like tanks and you're trying to go into like you're touring and you're trying to go into a church, a cathedral or something like that. They may ask you to cover up. When I was in Thailand, I went to one of the areas where they have all the temples and all of that, and I literally had to buy an outfit. I had a shawl. They wouldn't let me wear that because I could take it off if I wanted to, and then my shoulders would be exposed. I had to buy a t-shirt and I had to buy pants because I had on leggings, and the leggings were too tight, apparently. So I had to buy a whole outfit when I was there. It was about $12. I didn't keep it, but just FYI, those are things that you need to know. In Tanzania, when I was there in Zanzibar, one of the things that they did, they filed an ordinance to fine people for walking around the streets in Stone Town, which is a much more religious area when you're in Zanzibar than the beach area. So this is at last, so 2021, they I don't know if they enforced it, but created a law that if you're caught with your shoulders out or just walking around with swimwear, because they're finding a lot of tourists and people were coming there and walking up and down the streets in bathing suits and not covering up, and it was a $700 fine, and that fine can be imposed on the person who was violating as well as your tour guide if you are with a tour company. Okay, so be careful out there, y'all. All right. Number four, tipping may be a no-no in different countries. A lot of people may get offended, because they feel like it's fair wages. When I was in Italy, I know it was like a big thing, like don't tip us. It's covered in our, we make. When I was in China, in Shenzhen, I had somebody like run after me to give me my money back, and I didn't know I offended them. So sometimes it's good to check online and see what the culture is for things like that. I find that now after COVID, with a lot of places experiencing so much tourism, a decrease in tourism, that a lot of people will go ahead and take a tip and be very grateful, even if it's not a culturally accepted thing. But ask first, check first, y'all. Number 5, there's a lot of places that don't allow food and drinks in public places like trains. When I was in China, I was just like, their trains are like so super clean. Don't eat or drink on the trains. I want to say, is it the same in Paris? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been on a lot of public transportation. I was just thinking of some of the buses and trains that I've been on, and that was one in China. It was like super, super, super clean. Like you could eat off the floor, but don't do it. And then another one is beaches. When I was in Ecuador, they actually had signs. You can't, you know, in certain places, they won't allow you to have, there were no garbage cans on the beach. I was just like, that's weird because you can eat and drink everywhere. So how do they regulate it? Or maybe it's, if you are caught throwing things on the ground, you could be fined for it. So just be mindful of those types of things, because who wants to go on vacation and then be hit with a fine, because they do have a lot of security in some of these places. Number 6, no dog poo ordinances in some places. So you can go to places and people will, you could be walking and someone's got their pup out, and the dog decides to poo right in front of you, and they'll let the dog poo and keep walking. I mean, it's sometimes it's the grossest thing ever, because people step in it and it creates a stink, and it makes the streets and the sidewalks yucky and stuff like that. Ecuador is one of those places that does not have in some cities. I know in Cuenca, I felt like a lot of people carried bags and picked up their dog poo, but in Manta and, I want to say Quito, I think they picked up, but Manta they did not. Portugal is another place where dog poo is pickup is not regulated. At least it wasn't like that when I was there. So it's a couple things to keep in mind, right? Number 7, different cultures have different rules about marriage. So there are some places where you legally can marry, there could be 4 spouses in a house if that husband can care for them financially and emotionally and all of that. And so just a note to self that that is a thing that happens. And when you start talking about dating, a lot of times from a Western perspective, we're thinking that, if you're dating someone, you're the only one. Say that and kind of laugh, but you know what I'm saying? It's something to ask, and if it's not something that you're down with, get that out in the beginning. All right. Number 8, food. A lot of places leave that meat. You go and you see the butcher shops and you see the meat hanging all, they leave that stuff out sometimes all night. They leave that stuff out all day. I've been places, and of course you're gonna have flies and stuff all over. So it's just, you know, something to know and be aware of, because a lot of times those are the things that can cause us, like, have to have dysentery and things like that overnight. And it's not so much the meat is bad, it's because it's been out all day and everything is landing on it and leaving animals and different matter on those types of meat. So that's why, one of the reasons why we need to wash our meat, y'all. Have a whole meat washing controversy on here. Okay. And that I noticed that in tons of different places: Cuba, Morocco, Africa, different countries in Africa, Tanzania and Kenya, both, Egypt as well, Colombia, Senegal, Ecuador, pretty much everywhere outside of the West, has meat hanging up, and it's like exposed outside, right? Number 9, basic living conditions. In some places, I mean, like, you find places that are amazing. Like, I really like my apartment that I'm in right now, but there are some things, little nuances that you may find are not standard, like screens. a lot of places don't have screens on windows. And that can be like, it can be a place that has great weather, but they've got mosquitoes. And so you open the windows, you got flies, mosquitoes all over, all over your house, and you can't enjoy this great weather. You got to turn the air on. Well, that's kind of silly. For me, that's silly. No top sheets. You go places. At first, I used to have this issue with washcloths, but they don't even do that in hotels in the States. So that's not even a non-Western thing, right? But top sheets are a thing of the past, or not even top sheets. Like sometimes, like most places don't have fitted sheets, I should say. So there's a top sheet that functions as your fitted sheet, and you just make do. So you could buy two of those, or it'll come in a package with a pillowcase, a top sheet, and maybe a duvet, right? Because your duvet is what you cover with. So just be aware. And then sometimes, like a lot of places will advertise that they have hot water, but that doesn't mean, and that's usually for the bathroom, that doesn't mean that there's hot water in the kitchen. Isn't that interesting? Like every bathroom can have hot water, but when you get to the kitchen to do your dishes, there's no hot water. I noticed that when I was in Tanzania. I noticed that here in Colombia. It's another thing that I noticed at a couple places I stayed in Ecuador. And they have a gas line and everything, but it's just not hooked to the water line to heat. They don't heat the water that way because I don't know. It's a whole different thing. Okay. Number 10. Something I saw and noticed in China and had to ask about it. Slurping loudly when you're eating could potentially be a sign of respect. In addition to that, like if you're eating out in public, and that's when I noticed, I was like, oh my God, these people are like smacking and slurping. Like I can hear everything. And I asked, and they were like, oh, it's showing that the food is good. And I don't know if that's like everywhere, but it was where I was in Shenzhen. But another thing, you could be sitting at a table, by yourself. Maybe there's 4 chairs or even 2 chairs, and someone will just come and sit with you because it's an open seat. They don't do ownership like that, like you were there first, that's your whole table. No, you're going to have company. It's going to be some family dining in this joint. Okay. Number 11, some places regulate traffic. So there could be, what they'll do in certain places is maybe it's based on your license plate, or which is the easiest thing to kind of spot with traffic patrol and stuff like that. They'll look at like the last 2 digits of your license plate, and if you are a 01 or a 1 and a 2, something like that, you can't drive between 4 and 6 p.m. to cut down traffic during rush hour in certain places. They do that in Quito and Cuenca. It was the first time I had actually ever seen that, because I had a driver and he was like, oh, I can't pick you up on Wednesdays, I'm not allowed to drive. Oh, actually, it happens here in Colombia too. I got that when I was here in Cali. And so that's just something to know, you guys. So, like, if you are doing tours or excursions with private drivers, make sure you ask them, how long are we going to be out, and is it going to be a problem? I ended up having to stay somewhere until about 7 or 8 o'clock at night just so that we could legally get back on the road and drive. Okay. Number 12. In addition to this driving thing, there are some places they don't have no rules. They don't have rules and regulations. You will see 4 people on a moped. There's a baby squished in there. They got, I literally saw someone with a mattress, and then it was 2 people, and they're carrying the mattress on their head on a motorcycle. I've seen people with their entire families going down the highway on motorbikes, getting the kids to school. They got lunch pails and all this stuff, and it's no helmets on, and in most instances, no helmets on. Since I've been in Cali, pretty much everybody wears helmets, because I've noticed in Colombia, everybody rides motorbikes. Like, you see whole streets dedicated to selling motorbikes. So that's a really big thing here. So you'll see that. You'll see donkeys, cows, monkeys in the street. Like in Senegal was my first time experiencing the cows walking down, a 3 to 4 lane, road. And you're just like, oh, and everybody, you just have to sit and wait. Goats will be on the road, all kinds of stuff. This is stuff like but you gotta wait. You gotta be patient. It's just like when geese are crossing or something like that. You just gotta wait. But it's a very common daily thing, because specifically cows and goats and stuff, they walk the same route every single day. So every day you have to sit and you have to wait. You'll also see like a mix of different types of vehicles on the road: tuk-tuks, cars, motorbikes. Oh, and one thing about the motorbikes don't have to follow traffic signals like they're supposed to. But you'll notice, you'll think that you can cross because cars will stop. Oh, and the motorbikes are still coming. You can get run over by a motorbike. So just it being in on this, pretty much everywhere I've been outside of the U.S., people on motorbikes do what they want to do. The light is red. If it's clear to go through, they literally will just plow through, and I don't even know how they do it. And I've never seen an accident on a motorbike. I've seen some tuk-tuks get into it, but these are just a few things that know, you guys. These are some things that may shock you as a Westerner, especially if you're going somewhere and you're going to be outside of the real touristy areas, and you're kind of, immersing yourself into the culture. These are some things to know. So, if you want to know about any specific city that I have, or country that I have visited, or city that I visit, I think I'm on country 27 or 28. I'd be more than happy to share some of those nuances, shocking revelations with you guys. Just let me know, you guys. I hope you enjoy this video. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll catch you guys back here next time. Y'all know the drill. Toodles and noodles. Peace and air grease.